And to a harrowing story, a family in Kisii County is tonight seeking justice for their 75-year-old mother who passed away at the Oasis Hospital where she was receiving treatment following lung complications. But it is the events leading up to her burial that have left the family broken. The family of Finike Karegi says they were informed by the hospital that she had died of COVID-19 6 days after her admission. The family claiming the hospital dumped her body at the parking lot for the family to collect. This despite the Ministry of Health guidelines on proper disposal of deceased COVID-19 patients. Chamitai Goin with the details.
A distraught family following the sudden death of their matriarch, their 75-year-old mother Finike Karegi. What hurts them the most is the fact that her dignity was robbed in death.
She's a Salvation Army member, and she requested to be dressed in a white dress when she's gonna die. But she was buried naked in a bag like an animal.
Ongeri, who is Finike's son and who resides in the United States, was on 23rd July informed that his mother had been admitted at the Oasis Hospital in Kisii with lung complications. 6 days later, she unfortunately lost the battle. The family was notified that she had succumbed to COVID-19 related complications. The family disputes this, insisting that they were not notified by the hospital on when her samples were collected.
At least someone must have signed, or someone must have put initials for the samples to be checked and to be tested.
Mimi ndio nilimulinda hospitali wakati alikuwa mgonjwa. Nilimulinda siku hata moja sikuambiwa mama ni COVID-19 amepatikana nayo.
Following her death, the family claims the hospital detained her body until a bill of 221,131 shillings was settled. This despite the hospital lacking mortuary facilities. On 30th, they paid the debt and the body was handed over to them at the hospital's parking lot.
My mother was left in the parking lot of the Oasis Hospital for at least 3 hours, and whenever they were finding a vehicle to carry the body to the morgue, one of the vehicle came in and it was informed that that is a COVID-19 victim, and then it left.
With COVID-19 burial protocols requiring that interment be done within 48 hours of death, the stigma associated with the disease became a reality. Attempts to find a morgue to preserve the body until they could bury was futile. Most funeral homes declining. They settled for Nyamache mortuary.
We don't want this to happen to anybody else. Let the traditions be followed. As much as they are giving the deadlines, let them have their facilities ready to receive anybody who is going to die, either from COVID or from another disease.
On the evening of July 30th, they were called and asked to dig a grave by public health officials.
They came in, they found the grave was not ready. The body spent that night on the road.
At 2 a.m. in the morning, the public health officers came to bury the body amid screams from the broken family members who are still coming to terms with the loss. What was worse, the family claims the health officials left the grave open for them to fill it up with soil, and they left much more behind. The gloves they had worn and masks strewn around the compound.
Just came to find the kids who are just playing around with the gloves as if those are balloons. And if we are really preventing the COVID-19 thing, why should the public health officials leave the gloves scattered around the compound?
COVID-19 burial protocols demand that safety is taken while handling the body of a COVID patient, and while at it, the dignity of the dead and that of the bereaved family be put into consideration. That if a patient dies in hospital, the body is immediately wrapped in bedding they used and transferred into a disinfected body bag which will not be reopened. There will be further disinfection of the body. The patient's documents required to accompany the body, which is then handed over to the family, who will be accompanied by public health officials for the burial.
We are complaining to the government to take a step against these officials who do not mind human life. Even in death, my mother has got rights too.
They have since demanded from the hospital copies of the COVID certificate. They claim Oasis Hospital never contacted the Kisii County Public Health Office to inform them of a COVID-19 case and death in their facility.
Mom was buried here, and no contact tracing has been made to this compound. They never fumigated the house where Mom used to live.
Oasis Hospital Administrator Maxwell Mulekano, in a telephone conversation, says a detailed statement on the matter will be issued since issues raised border on client confidentiality and that the hospital has policies and guidelines they use on a daily basis. The family says their quest for justice is due to the fact that they are now being stigmatized and branded a corona family. Their day-to-day activities now hampered. Chomutai Goin, Citizen TV, Nairobi.